I'm going to try to make these shorter, folks, so you have more attention in a short burst because that's the only way this is going to work. Now, if you listen to her here, she's talking
Partners.
about
And what I mean by that is that they've got security companies that work with them, and those security companies will probably be the ones.
we're talking about fusion center partners based on cruelty and the pre-crime pressure, okay, leading up to the statement I want to make about Connecticut. So, suppose they harass you for 5 years and push you over the edge. That's what they're trying to do because they have for profit prisons paying the state, like Firetree, 5 doors down. They built a prison with no permits, they didn't tell anyone, and it opened. It was opening. They are releasing federal prisoners on my street, and we found 3 crack pipes so far, hypodermic needles, and it's right in front of the kids' bus stop. But our Senate Majority Leader is taking bribes from Robinson and Cole, who's the attorney in the lawsuit Flynn versus Firetree, which is dismissed. And so are the other cases that we've filed. So far, about 340 cases are dismissed, so it's not that we haven't tried. But when you look at the statement I want to make at the end of this video, it's going to be quite alarming, folks.
That pick your lock, come in, move things around, just to let you know they've been inside, or they come in and take all your tax work, or they come in and they sabotage this or that, or they come in and steal valuables and you find them on eBay. They come in and take your baby pictures that are irreplaceable,
Basically,
and you never
perps.
see them again. So they specialize in cruelty, in absolute total cruelty, because they're trying to push people over the edge. Another benefit to them is that they're hoping to push people into reacting, because then they'll say, "Oh, we told you Jonathan Smith was a bad guy. This is pre-crime. We all of our algorithms told us that he was going to burst anytime. So we need to have in law, we need to have pre-crime so that we can just pick up people that we suppose may at some point in time do something." Of course, they don't say you've been harassing him for 5 years, and maybe you took the urn that his mother's ashes were in, and that drove him over the edge, and he went to the neighbor who he knew was
That
harassing
actually
and hit him
happened
in the
in
face with a
Norwalk.
shovel. you know um, so then that person is on um, the list, and then they get thrown in prison. And guess what? The fusion centers.
When they took Andrew Pritchard's home in Norwalk, they stole his daughter's ashes. Quite remarkable. The guy had no mortgage. There are fictitious loans. He proved they were fictitious. I think it's in the state of Arizona. He got a ruling from a judge. And what'd they do? They went after every member in his family. And that will all be revealed in the federal court case when they force him into federal court, which they haven't done yet. But he's got a long-term plan. And the fact of the matter is 70 cops took his house. 70 police officers were on his front lawn. So, yeah, are they trying to wear him down? Yes. Did they steal his patents? Yes. What are his patents? They're incredibly important. He owns the patent on carbon credits. Is there a more important patent for the woke mafia than to control, the payments between countries? It's worth about $1 billion because $1 trillion will have to change hands in the near future just to make adjustments. So let's go back and
DHS basically have for-profit prisons that pay them,
like Firetree,
and for-profit mental institutions.
like
So they arrange to push the
Dumas,
person over the edge, put them in prison, put them in a mental institution, and they make a profit doing it.
This is
And
how they
once
make a
there,
profit. There is a whistleblower in Connecticut for the Whiting Forensic Hospital saying that it's organized crime, the pharmacies that surround the prison, and the double billing of all the drugs, because they not only collect from the insurance companies, they resell and repackage the drugs that they order. For example, if the prison has a $400,000 annual dollar budget for drugs, which obviously is $1,000 a day for 200 prisoners, it doesn't seem like enough money, but they ordered $260,000 in drugs in just one day, and in 1 week they spent their annual budget for drugs. And the whistleblower report is amazing because it went to town and the pharmacist was fired. So, cool. So what's going on here is, yes, they have a for-profit prison. There's 2 in Norwalk alone. And they're closing the state prisons and turning it into a business. So they have no business. Bob Duff has released, I think, 9,000 inmates out of the 18,000 inmates. And they're just back on the street. Repeated rapists. One rapist has raped 4 women already. So we know the second victim. We heard about the first. Now we're on our 4th. And what happens? The rapist is not prosecuted for his 4th rape. And they're completely aware of it because it happened on a Metro North train and the girl was 16 years old. So Kathy, who is 58 or 56, is the second victim. So we're tracking the serial rapists' rapes that could be stopped if the state wasn't creating more and more liabilities. So by creating victims, they have set up a for-profit mental institution processing plant, and there are perfectly healthy, sane people in Whiting Forensic Hospital. Tim Baldiga is perfectly sane. He's a conservative, and they think that's conspiracy theory and therefore not competent. So there we go. Let's listen to it for another minute, and then I want to wrap it up.
The person is then subjected to a lot more experimentation and abuse, and there's nothing he or she can do about it.
Karen, I'm going to jump in here because we're reaching that point and hands are starting to pop up already. But let me start up. I ask a couple questions myself.
Okay.
First off, and you can just give me fast answers because I want to ask you a few. Do you think something like what you're describing is what happened to Rand Paul when he was out cutting his grass and that neighbor assaulted him? Could that have been one of those type of attacks, as it were?
You know,
or is that conflating it maybe?
That I'm not sure that I would say that it definitely was. In my opinion, from what I've learned in the past several years, I think every single shooter that we've had has been targeted by FBI and poked and poked and prodded and poked and poked and prodded and pushed into doing the shooting. I mean, if you think about Myron May, who was a targeted individual, and his crime was that he was trying to help a woman get her child back from child services in Florida, and they turned out to be a mega child trafficking ring. Okay, so he was entirely correct in trying to get that child back, but it cost him his life.
So here we go. Adam Lanza, treated by Yale, pushed to the limit, fabricating the facts, certainly fabricating the facts. Turns out he has Asperger's and he's in the mind control program. at Yale being massaged into an outburst. So there we go. Let's wrap it up right there with Adam Lanza.